The wind on Alos 3 didn't howl. It whispered, soft and sterile, like everything else the Galactic Council touched. The city's skyline shimmered with obsidian glass, layered in symmetry too perfect to feel real. But up here, where Mira lay prone on the upper terrace of the Hall of Accord, reality was reduced to a narrow lens and the slow, mechanical rhythm of her own breath. She counted heartbeats instead of seconds. 125 since Commander Tavrix took the podium. 32 since her brother Elias was brought in chains beneath the banners of unified peace. The banners were a lie. Everything was. Sergeant Mira Voss didn't move. Her finger rested near the trigger, not on it. Her eye never left the digital reticle overlay. She had learned long ago that hesitation wasn't weakness. It was calibration. Come in, Echo 9. Sergeant Voss, report. A voice crackled in her earpiece, flat, clipped, unbothered. Probably from the command tent 2 blocks away. A room with air conditioning and snacks. No one expected her to reply. She didn't. Sergeant Voss? Still nothing. She'd gone dark on purpose. No signals. No biometrics. No confirmation of her location. That's what being invisible meant, when you were a sniper trained by Earth's last war. The Council believed she was an observer, nothing more. A token representative of a conquered species. A relic of humanity's final resistance against the Zarnathi expansion. Tavrix himself had scoffed during the last briefing. Send your ghost girl. Let her learn her place. She'd learned plenty. Like how Tavrix always touched his left gauntlet before lying. Like how the public tribunal was just for show. The executions would follow immediately after the broadcast ended, no defense, no appeals. And her brother would be first. Myra's scope followed Tavrix's movements. His voice echoed through the courtyard, amplified by crystalline sound pillars. He wore ceremonial armor, charcoal black with a blood-red crest, polished for the cameras. Around him, the crowd of delegates sat in arranged tiers, perfectly spaced. Like pieces on a game board. Her voice was barely a breath. One shot starts a war. She didn't mean the bullet. 2 weeks ago, Elias had slipped her a data crystal inside a hollow medallion during a mandated family visitation. He looked older than 23. Pale. Lean. But his eyes still held that ridiculous spark, like he believed in things. They're hiding executions, he had whispered. Resistance sympathizers, human and otherwise. They disappear after these trials. Tavrix runs it. I've got the names. Mira had warned him to stay quiet. There's no safety in truth anymore. He had smiled. Then I'll make noise. The council arrested him within 48 hours. Now he stood below, wrists bound, flanked by guards whose armor reflected the early crimson light. He didn't look afraid. He looked like her. Mira adjusted her scope. Wind 2.1 meters per second, cross breeze eastward. Distance, 908 meters. Estimated drop, 1.2 inches. Bullet type, non-explosive silenced round. She could end Tavrix right now. But that wasn't the mission. She wasn't here to kill him. She was here to expose him. Behind her, a flicker on the portable data pad glowed green. The drone was in position, hovering just above the Council's media feed node. She tapped the control rune twice. The sniper scope linked to the drone. The drone linked to the feed. Her sight turned into a broadcast. Tavrix's voice boomed. Humanity was offered peace and spat in our face. These trials are mercy. Mira tapped her comms. Echo 9, record this. Her voice fed directly into the stream. Commander Tavrix, she said softly. This is Sergeant Mira Voss, former United Earths Special Recon. I am transmitting live. You told us silence was obedience. You mistook it for fear. Confusion rippled through the crowd below. Delegates turned their heads. Tavrix froze. You are not arbiters, she continued. You are predators. And we see you now. The screen behind Tavrix flickered, first to static, then to a live feed from her scope. The crowd gasped. Viewers across 5 systems saw what she saw: Elias in chains, the guards, the sniper's crosshair aimed not at his captors, but at the man who condemned him. Council security scrambled. Drones lifted. Alarms howled. Mira smiled. They'd expected a protest. They never expected a broadcast. From the alley 2 kilometers away, Lieutenant Kari, an insector from the Rexian Enclave, watched from his terminal. His compound eyes shifted in slow thought. She said it live? He murmured. Not to kill. To reveal? Behind him, others in Echo 9 looked at one another. Some lowered their weapons. Some raised them. Mira didn't flinch when the sirens started. She knew they'd find her perch in minutes. She packed up swiftly, scooping the rifle into its collapsible shell and retrieving the data pad. Her brother locked eyes with her one last time. From below, he nodded. She whispered one final line into the feed. History remembers the loud, but it respects the precise. She dove off the platform just as drones swarmed it, her cloaking field flickering to life. The hunt had begun. But this time, it wasn't humanity being hunted. The world didn't explode the way Mira expected. It fractured. First came the silence, raw, anticipatory, as council dignitaries turned toward the skies, scanning for a second bullet that never came. Then the uproar, shrill sirens, armed patrols, and digital firewalls scrambling to intercept the feed. But it was too late. Her message was already moving faster than they could stop it. Inside the command tent, Commander Tavrik stood with the calm of someone who believed himself unshakable. But even his posture betrayed tension. His left hand trembled just enough to rattle the ornate cup on his console. A flick of his gauntlet opened the encrypted warnet. Locate her. Now. But sir. Now. From his vantage, Tavrix could see the ripple. Delegates rose from their seats, murmurs twisting into heated arguments. Live commentaries on distant planets picked up Myra's voice and spliced it into resistance broadcasts. A single human sniper had managed what fleets couldn't, instilling doubt. Down in the city's underbelly, Mira ran like memory. She knew this place from old reconnaissance blueprints, forgotten service corridors, overflow canals, ventilation grids too small for armored units to follow. The cloak shimmered faintly against her body, recalibrating with every light shift. It wouldn't last forever, but it didn't need to. She wasn't planning on vanishing. She was planning on being seen, just long enough to remind the galaxy of what humans had always done best: adapt under pressure. She ducked into an abandoned data hub, a relic from the first expansion war. Dust-coated cracked screens. Ancient solar converters flickered erratically. With quick fingers, she linked her pad to a secure repeater node and began copying files. Broadcast node 1, traced, redirecting to node 2. She whispered, half to herself. Come on, Warden. Tell me you're still listening. A ping confirmed a silent handshake with a dormant AI buried beneath the city's eastern edge. She smiled. The ghosts of Earth hadn't forgotten her. Above, Lieutenant Kari paced the edge of Echo 9's temporary encampment, mandibles clicking in quiet contemplation. He replayed Myra's words on loop, antennae twitching with unease. She didn't attack, he said aloud. Corporal Vesh, a four-armed Yaltari, snorted. Didn't need to. Her words were the bullet. Kari turned to the others. Tavrix won't stop now. He'll label this terrorism, sanction full suppression. And we'll be part of it. We follow orders, Vesh replied flatly. Kari's head tilted. We're soldiers, not slaughterers. Something about this feels off. Humans don't bluff. Why would she go live unless she had leverage? Silence. Then a soft voice. What if she does? They all turned. Technician Rill, a frail, translucent-skinned Umari, looked up from his console. Repeat? Kari asked. She accessed the relay that's linked to the city's AI grid. Legacy tech. It shouldn't be online, but... He hesitated. She's pinging something deep. Something predating Tavrix's occupation. Vesh scoffed. What could a rusted Earth algorithm do? Kari wasn't so sure. In the data hub, Myra's pad buzzed. A new voice cracked through, old, metallic, and familiar. Identity match confirmed. Sergeant Mira Voss, Earth's Special Recon. Welcome back. She exhaled. Warden, I need you awake. Uplink degraded. Hostile activity detected. Defensive protocols suppressed by foreign override. Request, purpose of reactivation? She closed her eyes. Proof. Evidence. Surveillance logs, hidden executions, Tavrix's purge orders. Everything. A long pause. Then, authorization granted. Downloading dossier. Estimated time, 3 minutes. 3 minutes? She could already hear boots overhead. Mira slumped briefly against the console. Her fingers brushed the metal dog tag around her neck, Elias's name etched beneath hers. They had trained her to disappear. Now she needed to do the opposite. She opened a voice channel to all open feeds. This is Sergeant Mira Voss. The data coming next is not opinion. It's not rebellion. It's record. She paused. To those watching from the shadows, this is what predators fear, being seen. Across Alos 3, screens shimmered. Council courtyards. Prison zones. Markets. Orbital relay stations. Files spilled across displays, execution logs, unauthorized detentions, classified memos with Tavrix's digital seal. Footage showed civilians, human and alien, bound and blindfolded, marched into off-record chambers. It was undeniable. Council lies laid bare in high resolution. In the command tent, Tavrix bared his teeth. She wants an uprising. No, muttered a junior officer. She wants the truth to burn. Tavrix slammed his fist into the console. Then let her burn first. He keyed in direct commands. Deploy hunter units. Initiate zero zone lockdown. I want that sniper erased from existence. Back in the hub, the download bar ticked to 98%. Mira packed the pad into her back harness, rebooted her cloak, and triggered a micro-EMP to fry the terminal. No backtrace. She whispered into the feed one last time. Commander Tavrix. You called us relics. But we remember every war. We're not the past. We're what comes after predators. Then she was gone. Out into the storm drain. Back into shadow. Kari stood in stunned silence as the footage played. He looked to his squad. Then to his rifle. He set it down. The tunnel walls narrowed until Mira had to crouch, her breath short and sweat tracing rivulets beneath her cloak. The stale air thickened as she descended, each step echoing with the metallic ring of boots against long-abandoned steel. Rust flaked from support beams above, and condensation dripped from fractured pipes, dotting her visor with tiny beads that caught the flickering light of her headlamp. She had reached the underbelly of Alos 3, where even the Council didn't dig. Echo 9 to base. Negative contact. Sniper trail ends in the drainage sector. No trace beyond. Mira muted the intercepted channel. Let them chase shadows. She had already slipped into a place built before they even knew what humans could become. Her fingers brushed the reinforced hatch. Covered in lichen, sealed by time. She pressed her palm to the biometric panel beside it. Earth Defense Site B7 confirmed. Sergeant Mira Voss. Identity active. A soft hiss followed, and the door cracked open with a reluctant groan. The stale scent of preservation chemicals spilled out. She stepped inside. The bunker awakened like a creature roused from hibernation. Pale blue lights flickered overhead, illuminating faded murals of Earth's sky, a pale memory painted across a curved concrete dome. Banks of ancient servers blinked to life. Crates of ration packs and sealed ammunition lined the far walls. But what caught Myra's eye was the chair in the center of the room. Occupied. Elias, she breathed. He looked up, restrained but conscious. Bruised, dehydrated, but alive. You're late, he rasped, a tired smile on cracked lips. She knelt beside him, slicing the bonds with her blade. They broadcasted your execution, then scrambled when I hijacked the feed. Council panic. Nice to see tradition holds, he muttered, trying to stand. She steadied him. There's more, she said. The warden's awake. As if summoned, the AI's voice echoed through the chamber, calm, emotionless, but unmistakably present. Welcome home, Sergeant. Directive protocols pending. Elias blinked. Is that the last functional war AI from Earth's defensive core? Mira nodded. Designed to predict, adapt, and retaliate against alien offensives. Warden had once controlled orbital strikes, sabotage networks, and real-time intel analysis. Its directives were suspended after Earth's surrender. But Mira had never deleted her authorization. She couldn't. Interrogative. The AI spoke again. Purpose of reactivation, defensive, offensive, or existential? Mira hesitated. Then, all of the above. Confirmed. Resuming legacy simulation. Uploading council engagement data, complete. Strategic analysis. Probability of rebellion success, 14.6%. Elias chuckled hoarsely. So, we've got a chance. Outside the bunker, Kari marched alone through the lower corridors of the data district. He had left his rifle behind. He no longer needed it, not for this. He tapped a coded sequence into the side of a decaying pillar, revealing a concealed panel. Behind it, a communicator still tied to a dormant resistance frequency. Myra's voice hadn't just reached sympathizers, it had stirred something older. He tapped the transmitter. To any human resistance receiving, Echo 9 Lieutenant Kari requests contact. I don't know if you're alive, but I think she's your spark. Back inside the bunker, Mira guided Elias to a med station and began disinfecting the worst of his wounds. You never gave up, he whispered. No. But I did forget what we're fighting for. Until you reminded me. Incoming transmission, the AI interrupted. Kari's voice filtered through static. Sergeant Voss. This is Kari. I was Echo 9. Not anymore. I've seen what you showed us. I have access. Council patrol routes. Deployment gaps. If you're planning something, I want in. Elias raised an eyebrow. You trust him? No, Mira said, tapping the mic. But he's exactly the kind of risk Earth trained us to bet on. Data sync complete, Warden added. Council command relays mapped. Weak points identified. Power grid exploits available. Probability of success updated, 29.4%. Elias's eyes gleamed. Almost double. Still not enough, Mira muttered. Then evolve, the AI replied. As humans do. Outside, storm clouds gathered. Council patrols flooded the lower sectors, swarming like hounds chasing a scent gone cold. Tavrix, livid and cornered, gave one final directive. Seal off the old districts. Collapse the tunnels. If she's hiding below, we'll bury her. He didn't know the bunker had its own ventilation, exit tunnels, and its own broadcast signal. Back underground, Mira stood at the terminal, watching council formations crawl across a 3D map projected before her. They'll be here by morning, Elias said. She nodded. Then we finish what we started tonight. Confirm broadcast override, Warden prompted. Confirmed, Mira said. She looked toward Elias. Ready? He smiled through his bruises. I've waited my whole life to make noise. Above, 1,000 screens across 100 cities flickered again. The sniper had returned to the signal. But this time, she wasn't aiming a weapon. She was arming the truth. Dawn broke red over Alos 3. Not the soft red of sunrise, but the harsh glare of warning sirens and emergency strobes pulsing across the skyline. Council towers, once untouched, now blinked with uncertainty. Every screen across the capital looped the same phrase in hundreds of languages. Data authenticated. Tribunal crimes verified. Mira watched from a rooftop adjacent to the Hall of Accord, visor reflecting the chaos below. Tavrix had barricaded himself inside, surrounded by elite guards and council dignitaries, demanding the feed be cut. But it couldn't. The override protocols were now being broadcast from 6 separate locations, Warden's legacy code multiplied and decentralized. Every attempt to shut it down only spread it further. "We have his location." Elias's voice crackled through her comms. "West Wing balcony. Council press conference at 0600. He's going to try to spin this." "Let him," Mira said. "He's walking into his own eulogy." Inside the bunker, Kari watched over the flickering holomap. His claws drummed a rhythmic pulse on the console. "They're collapsing sewer routes. 2 exits are already sealed." "We planned for this," Mira replied. "Focus on broadcast protection. Tavrix thinks this is about hiding us. It's not. It's about revealing him." Kari turned his gaze to her. "You're risking everything." "No," she said. "We already lost everything. This is about making it count." At precisely 0600, Commander Tavrix stepped into the public eye, armor gleaming, voice dripping with calculated confidence. "Lies," he said to the press. "Human treachery. The so-called sniper has hijacked sensitive channels to spread misinformation. These trials were lawful. These executions necessary." He paused, waiting for silence. But there wasn't any. Instead, the main screen behind him flared to life, unprompted, and displayed himself from 3 nights earlier, giving the order to execute prisoners before verdicts were reached. His voice. His seal. His betrayal. Gasps followed. Murmurs. Outrage. And then, across every screen, across the galaxy, came the voice they now recognized. Myra's. "This is Sergeant Mira Voss. Earth Recon. Sniper designation V. You've heard Tavrix. You've seen the footage. You know what's been hidden. We were called relics. Remnants. We watched your worlds fall silent, your questions go unanswered. You assumed silence meant defeat. But silence, like a scope, is about focus." The crowd erupted in motion. Delegates stood. Guards turned inward. Some raised weapons, others dropped them. Tavrix shouted, reaching for his wrist console, but the override had already locked him out. Then came the final footage. The bunker. The files. The truth. His lies dissected. One by one. "She's in the city!" Tavrix barked, furious. "Find her! End this now!" His guards moved. But one didn't. Kari stepped forward. No weapon drawn. Just truth in his voice. "You told us humanity was extinct. But she redefined survival. You taught us to follow. She taught us to choose." Tavrix raised the weapon. Myra's voice echoed again, live, now. "You're just predators hiding behind procedure. But Earth didn't raise prey. Earth raised us to endure. To evolve. And when the time is right, to aim." A sudden motion from above. Tavrix turned too late. Mira emerged from the balcony's structural recess, rappelling down in one fluid swing. Her rifle wasn't aimed at him. Not yet. "Tavrix," she said, uncloaking. "This isn't vengeance. You're here to kill me?" he growled. "I'm here to end your story." She tapped her wrist pad. The final upload completed. Distributed now across every major system, backed by off-world mirrors, relay drones, and open-source leak hubs. "You can survive," she said quietly. "But your power won't." He lunged. She didn't shoot. She stepped aside. He stumbled, disarmed by Kari mid-motion, and fell to his knees as hundreds of delegates rose from their seats, streaming, live, from every corner of the plaza. Mira leaned in, close enough for only him to hear. "We warned you. Now they decide." 2 hours later, Tavrix was in chains, publicly detained by council mandate. Elias stood beside Mira on the western tower, watching as protesters gathered outside the council compound. "Do you think they'll really change?" he asked. Mira didn't answer right away. She scanned the horizon, far beyond the city, toward the stars. "No," she finally said. "But they'll remember." The warden's voice whispered into her calm. "Directive complete. Final legacy entry uploaded. Shall I sleep again? Mira took a long breath. No. Not yet. Not until humans stop needing to whisper to survive. Understood. That night, on Earth and across the Rim colonies, children would ask their parents why a sniper was on every screen. And the parents would answer, because the galaxy forgot what humans could do when pushed too far.